And you redeemed your combo for the chair? Oh, you did. How did you do that? How did you already get enough combo? Oh, man. I've only been on so little and you already have a ton of combo. Boy. I'm going to have to ship you something. I undid all of that combo, and you've already regained all of it. I deleted everybody's combo from last year because I was going to do something else with it, but I didn't have enough time to stream it to start. So yeah, that's that. Any questions people have for the Cheplics stuff? You know, what you're working on? I know groups in the past few little bit have had, you know, questions on what they're doing. We got a lot of people in the chat right now. So, you know, I've got apricot. What is that? Apricot, droop fruit. Cam's in here. Commander Root. Genix is in, and Genix, thanks for that follow. We'll play you a cat again. Cat time. Slow Cool and Skinny Seahorse is still here. Give me a second to write down all of these names. So I can get you on your digital participation. So yeah. So me asked, so the weighted average is, it's just the price per pound and percentage of that number versus the regular average being all the pounds divided by the number of numbers. Let me see if I can answer that question for you, Mia. Good evening, Leo. How you doing? So yeah, so a normal average, Mia, we would just say that we have a number of things. So, you know, if you were looking at, like, you're looking at the average of the same quantity, okay? So we can look at, like, the mass of pumpkins, the height of people, how many cars are on the road, how many times I say the word snickerdoodle in a 10-minute period. You're looking for something that occurs in some amount. What you're doing with a weighted average is you're saying, look, I have within a quantity it broken up into different pieces. So for the cow or the pig or whatever, we've got like steak, chuck, fat, ribs. For, you know, common ways that teachers weight their grades for their class, they'll say something along of like, you know, 10% of your grade is quizzes, and, you know, 40% of your grade is a test. So your grade is the whole thing, but within it, it's built up of different things. Maybe 30% of your grade is like labs, and then 20% is homework, okay? So that's the idea of like a weight. Let's say you get, let's say if we look at like what your quiz scores are, let's say that your quiz scores, when you add them all together and you divide by the total amount and whatnot, you only get a total of like 80% on quizzes. Let's say you get 40% on tests. Let's say your labs, you get 100% because you're just a boss in the labs and you work hard on homework. You get 100% on your homework. Then when we start looking at like your homeworks or your test scores and whatnot and like how many points you get, we're basically taking this weight amount and multiplying it by each of these scores here, whatever they are, whatever these percentages are here, okay? Because, you know, you're 80% here, it may be something like you got 8 out of 10 points for the quizzes. And then your tests, you might have gotten like 400 out of 1,000 points. That's still only 40%, but it's many, many more points. For the labs, maybe it was like 1 out of 1. You did one thing and it was all you needed. And the homework, you did 2 out of 2. If you kind of look at this here, it may kind of look like your grade would only be 4,011 out of 1,013, which is approximately a 40%. If you were just to like add up all the points and do it the traditional way. with this weighting version, Mia, instead what it would be is, well, what's 80% of 10%? Well, you know, for this one here, that is just happenstance 0.8. It is 8%. What's 40% of 40%? I think that'll be like 16%. Because 0.4 times 0.4, yeah. So this is like 16% or 0.16. What's 100% of 30%? Well, that's the whole 30%. That's 0.3. And what's 100% of 20%? Well, that's the whole 20%, 100 of it, 0.2. And if you then add up all of these, because these are like pieces of your grade here, you would quickly see that you've got 20 plus 30 is 50, 66 plus 8. If you add all of these up, you would see that your grade's really like a 74% based off of the weighting. So it's kind of a different thing. You're not looking at just individual pieces anymore. You're looking at the parts of that whole piece. How much of those parts do you have? Or in our case for the cow, how much did those parts cost? Because that's one way to do it. We can look at our units for that. And they'll kind of give us some amounts there. Okay? So really for the cow method, that's what you're doing here. The class grades kind of make sense as well because you are looking at weights and amounts. The class grades is a little bit more complicated of a problem though. But yeah, you're looking at how much do I have at some cost. Okay? Hopefully that made a little sense. You could also think about it like, this is how I like to think about it sometimes as well. Imagine that you're stuck in traffic. Okay, you're like in the middle of downtown, you're stuck in traffic going over a bridge or something, and you're moving at like 1 mile per hour for an entire hour. Okay? Like for an entire hour, you're moving super slow. And then for 10 seconds, you speed up, you hit 45 miles per hour, like it looks like traffic's opened up, and then you just stop again. Well, what's your average speed there? Well, you know, it's not just 1 plus 45 divided by 46 or whatever, or divided by 2. It's a bunch of ones because you spent forever barely moving, and then just 145. So it'd be like you were going 1 mile per hour plus 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 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And at the end, it'd be like plus 46. So that's not exactly a weight, but it's kind of similar in that regard. Like how much time are you spending at each one? And there's many more times here than that. So it's the same idea. Maybe like this is 99% of your time is spent at 1 mile per hour and only 1% of your time is spent at 46. This is just an easier way to add up many of the same things by taking this weight here. Okay?